Good afternoon to all of those joining either live on Zoom or those joining on Facebook Live. It's really an honor to have you back for our lunch and learn sessions. And we've been doing these all year. So if you haven't yet managed to see all of them, make sure that you go to the YouTube channel. You can catch up on all the different sessions that we've had so far for the year. But really the purpose of Lunch and Learn is to take your lunch hour and not even use all of it. So we still give you time to have a bit of lunch, but to focus on the learning, because where do we really learn how to run a business? So welcome to all of you for joining us. And last month, we spoke about recruitment, breaking down recruitment into bite-sized chunks and making it simple and trying to understand what are the elements that we should be focusing on when we're looking at recruitment, and also taking it a step back and actually saying, well, long before we're actually ready to recruit, what are we doing about that? So if you did miss that, go to the YouTube channel and you'll find the details on recruitment for last month. This month, the very critical area we're going to be focusing on is goals. Now, it's one of my favorite things to present on and to teach and to talk about, because who taught us, like all the other most important things that we need to know today, who actually taught us how to set goals? And we've just gone through our quarterly planning sessions with our clients. We call it Growth Club. And really, we take everybody out their business for a day to plan the next quarter, to set proper goals. And again, I'm astounded when looking at people and how we go about setting our goals. And, you know, with the greatest of respect, we set crappy goals that are not very clear, that are not very inspiring, and that are not necessarily setting us up for success. So what we want to focus on today is to say, well, how do you go about setting the right goals, good goals, and then how do you go about implementing them and sharing maybe some areas where you might be struggling with the goals that you do set and maybe why you're not achieving them. So we're going to get straight into it. And the most important thing is to understand, where does the process start? And the process with starting with goals is not to just look at your to-do list and say, what is it that I have to do? You know, the word that should be banished from the English language, what should I do? Or what should I have done? Yeah, that's a complete waste of time. So before you get into setting goals, I want you to take a step back and really look at, what is the dream? Not are you living the dream, not the specifics of that dream, but what is the end goal? What is the dream? What is this big, hairy, audacious thing that you'd like to achieve from life? And don't think first business. Yes, you might take a dream and you put it into business language, might be called your vision, your purpose, your why. No, first start with you as an individual. Be selfish about you. What is the life that you want to create? What does it look like? What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to go? What do you want to see? What do you want to have? All those things, so that you get back into a little bit of the blue sky stuff, the dreaming, the fantasy stuff. Because if you don't have that emotional connection, that personal connection with your dreams, you're actually just wasting your time. And if you don't have the right dreams, you're not going to break it down to set the goal. So I want you to dream. Page through magazines. Nowadays, we might not have as many magazines, so we'll be looking at social media maybe, or the internet to find ideas. And as somebody said to me last week in a coaching session, I realized when I was doing the Dream Builder exercise that I don't have any dreams, that I don't really know myself, that I've given up on things that I've always thought were important, that I've always tried to achieve, and I've given up on my dreams. Well, that's why we procrastinate with our goals. That's why we set the wrong goals. That's why we set the same thing over and over again. Because dare I say, what's in it for me? And I really encourage you to spend some time and really get clear on those dreams. What do you want from life? Because once you've decided what you want from life, we'll get to the business part now, don't worry. Once you've decided what you want for life, you break it down. And I'll show you how you break it down. But you should then break it down into a goal. You say, well, if that's the long-term dream, maybe the medium-term dream, what is the smaller portion that I can set as a goal? And we'll unpack what a true goal is for you shortly. But I've got the dream and then I break it down into a goal. Now, often we set goals that we already know how to achieve. We set dreams that we already know how to achieve. Well, then it's not necessarily a dream, is it? It's not necessarily a good goal either. Because the whole point around setting a good goal is it needs to stretch you. You need to put some effort in. You need to be inspired to change whatever needs to change to achieve the goal. And therefore, often we won't know what to do in achieving our goal. And that's the exciting part. So we then need to go through this phase of learning. And we often joke and say the only place you'll find earning before learning is in the English dictionary. You first need to do the learning. Because if I've got the goal, I need to go and understand what it's about. I'm astounded by people that set health and fitness goals and actually know nothing about their bodies. Well, you might have to do some learning. I'm astounded that people set goals around financial independence, financial freedom, and know nothing about savings and investments. Well, then you have to do some learning. Because if I don't do the learning part, how do I put into place the plan? How do I then put the building blocks together that need to work in unison to help me achieve my goals? Well, I can't if I haven't done the learning. So maybe it's some books to read. Maybe it's some courses to attend. Maybe it's some YouTube videos to watch for free. Maybe it's a Udemy course. There's a lot of things today that we have access to help us with the learning part. Because if we've got the learning, we can put together the plan, because that keeps us focused. We all set goals, and by tomorrow we've got new goals and new ideas and new schemes. So if we don't have the plan with milestones, with execution elements, we get distracted. We come up with new ideas. And that's why most of us, and let me just bring it down here for you a little bit, we jump between these two areas. This perfect ideal that frustrates us because we're not there yet, the dream, and then we just work ourselves to death. Headless chickens running round and round and round, making ourselves really tired, chasing lots and lots of chickens at the same time, and then we get distracted in the process. So the step in between those are breaking down into bite-sized, meaningful goals, doing the learning so that we can understand what it is that I need to do to achieve that and how to achieve that so that I can put the plan together. And the plan is the one that keeps me structured and ensures that the actions I take are going to be in line with my plan, what I've learned before, help me hit my goals, and ultimately achieve my dreams. And remember, we're still with you, starting with you. The process is the same with the business, of course, but it still starts with you, and you'll see now why. The formula then that we use to say, well, how do I go about achieving my goals is getting clarity on what it is that I want to have. We call it the Bido have formula. And getting clarity on what I want to have is the dream and the goal part. Because it doesn't help to set goals that are not aligned to what you want to have. You know, if you want to spend time with your family and you've got young kids and you want to see them grow up, then you don't want a retail business operating 7 days a week, all hours of the day, because it's not what you want to have. And if you set the goal towards that, it's disaligned to what you want to have, and you're probably going to find that you're not going to achieve it. So the more clarity you have on what you want to have, the better. This lady from last week, when she said she'd given up dreams, she didn't really have dreams, she really struggled with this. She did say, well, as pathetic as it sounds, what I want to have is a Boerboel and a Rottweiler, because I love those dogs and I don't have dogs. That's what she wants to have. For her to have that, she might need a bigger home because they need more space. Well, now I need clarity around the home that I want to have. And often we want something different from our current reality, but we don't know exactly what we do want. So if you don't know what you want to have, start with what you don't want to have and write that down. Don't try and keep it in your head. Write it down. What do I not want? And then help me mold what I do want. But once I understand what I want to have, it doesn't help I become a human doing. Because that's what we do. We become human doings instead of human beings. And we just work at it instead of taking the step back and going, no, if that's what I want to have, who do I need to be? Who do I need to become? How do I need to behave? All those wonderful self-identity types of things that need to alter what I'm going to do. I need to alter. I cannot have financial freedom and just do. Well, I need to behave in a certain way. I need to value myself and pay myself first. I need to value savings and investment. I need to have discipline, not to just spend when the sticker pops up and says 50% off and the sale is the enticing part. Well, I need to behave differently and not just do differently. And if I start to behave differently, I automatically do differently, and it helps me get what I want to have. And we know about SMART. We've heard about SMART, and there's different nuances to it. But when we set goals, when we understand what it is that we want to have, must be specific. Specific. The more specific, the better. It then needs to be measurable. It then needs to be achievable, attainable. Doesn't help, it's not possible with what I currently have at all. Yes, it must be stretched. Yes, I'm going to learn a few things, but I want to make sure that it's attainable and that it is actually achievable. Now here it could either be realistic. I'm not such a good fan of the word realistic, because who knows what's realistic? It's always unrealistic until it's done. So it needs to be results focused. There needs to be an outcome. And I think that's often what we make the mistake of. We set the goal for the steps, not for the outcome. You want to go to gym for 3 times a week. Great. Specific? Yes, I suppose. 3 times a week. Measurable? I can measure if I'm going 3 times a week. Is it attainable, achievable? Yes. Is it results driven? No. Because I could go to the gym and talk to my friends, play on my phone, have a cup of coffee. So what's the outcome, the result that I'm chasing? And then the T, it must be a time frame. Doesn't help, it's never ending, because human beings are lazy. We wait till the last minute to do things. And as I've heard often now, it's in spring, everybody's excited about spring, but we didn't really want to exercise and do the work in the winter. Now we want to do it. But now we're worried because we don't look the way we want to look when we go to the beach now. You have to start ahead of time. So the quicker there is a deadline, the more pressure the time frame puts us under, the more likely we are to go after it. So specific, measurable, attainable, achievable, definitely results focused. What's the outcome we're looking for? And then the time frame, critical element. So I've heard people set goals like, well, I want to be more motivated in this next quarter. With the greatest of respect, that's a crappy goal. I've heard people say, well, I want to have a better relationship. What is better? How is that understanding what it is that you want to have? I just want to have a stress-free business. Yeah, not a good goal. So you want to really interrogate your goals, getting clarity on what it is you want to have, and the more SMART, the better. Now, once you get into the discipline of goal setting and you review it regularly and you set it again and you review it regularly and you set it again, it does become easier. It does become simpler to get into the rhythm of setting those goals. So definitely make sure that you spend a lot of time around making it SMART. The other bad business goals. I want to hire a salesperson in the next 90 days. Well, you can hire a salesperson tomorrow. For what? To do what? Once they're succeeding, for what? Well, I need the extra person to do a certain amount of sales so we can hit a 30% target increase for the quarter, for example, on turnover. Okay, that's the goal. Now I can do it in a range of different ways. The one that I've identified is to bring on a salesperson. Well, if I take a month to recruit the person, a month for them to serve notice, then they start, are they going in the first month already help me get there? Probably not. So the fact that I want the 30% increase and I'm seeing the salesperson as the vehicle might pay off in the next quarter, but it's not necessarily going to pay off in this quarter. And if I've interrogated my goal, I will know that. So I have to find a different way. I still have to recruit the salesperson because they must pay off in the next quarter. And I don't want to delay that any further, but I'm going to have to find other ways of generating that 30% for this quarter. You see, so that's where these things come in. So we start with, once you've done the dreaming that we spoke about right up front, you want to set kind of 3 to 5 year goals. The way things change at the moment, 5 even being a little bit on the far stretch. Maybe you want to set a 3-year goal. So we're 2021, September now. As we're recording this, whenever you're listening to this, doesn't matter, later on. So a year from now, let's say, where do you want to be 2022, 2023, 2024? So what's the 2024 goal that I have? The 3-year kind of framework. If that's what I want to have in 3 years' time, where do I need to be in 12 months so that I'm on track? Now, some goals might be 1-year goals. You can set them for 1 year. It's done and dusted. I've achieved it. I want to go to ActionCOACH's global conference in Hawaii in July next year. That's a goal. It's a 1-year goal. That's fine. It's not necessarily a 3-year goal, but I might want to buy a property in Mauritius. Well, the first year, the goal might be to go visit Mauritius, look around. The second year might be to actually go look at places, start applying. And the third year, I want to have done it. So that's how it will influence. But 3-year goal broken down, where do I need to be in 12 months from now? Once I've got the 12-month goal, what's the 90-day, the 1 quarter benchmark I need to hit? And this could be applicable to your health, your finances, your relationships, your business. It doesn't matter. You start with the 3-year, you break it down to 12 months, and then you start looking at 90-day chunks so that every quarter I review, where have I come from? Where am I now? Am I on track with what I'm doing to hit the next little element? And then it becomes like a game that I just check in every quarter. Am I on track? Because once I know the quarterly goal, then it becomes a to-do list for monthly, weekly, daily. Then it becomes the discipline to review, to implement, to stay on track with the monthly, weekly, daily focus. And the more I take the 90-day goal and break it down to what needs to be done daily, the easier it is. Because for a 90-day period, it might seem quite daunting. But if I break it down to daily, well, then it's often not that much. And I remember a few years ago, we had a client that was actually very upset after she realized this. Her team was saying that they could never achieve what the goals were because they needed more staff. No problem. We took the average time it takes to deal with the client, how many clients are necessary to make, or what's the average sale per transaction. And when we broke down the goals to a daily focus, the team each needed to do 1 sale per day, and it would take no more than 90 minutes to do that whole process. She was astounded and concerned, and actually, dare I say, a little bit angry, because what were they doing for the rest of the day? So from understanding that we don't have enough resources to actually breaking it down, going, what are you doing the rest of the day, is 2 very different things. But that's why we set it long term. We break it down from 3 years to 12 months, quarterly chunks, and then we can see what needs to be done in smaller bite-sized chunks to see if we're on track. If we miss the daily number, then we don't throw it away. We add the difference to tomorrow. If we miss the weekly number, we don't throw it away. We add it to the next week so that we're actually making progress, because that's what we do. If we didn't, let's use one that people often say, lose weight. I didn't lose a kilogram last week, so okay, it's gone forever. As long as I lose the kilogram for this week, it's okay. Well, no, because then you're not going to hit your quarterly goal, your 12-month goal, and your long-term focus. So you need to carry the shortfall from yesterday's goal, last week's goal, last month's goal, so that we double up on effort to get there. And it should add that feeling of, this is getting harder, this is getting more difficult. Yes, because it needs to force the discipline that was lacking in the previous month, week, day, whatever the case may be. Okay, so once we've got the breaking down of the goals ready, we understand the sequence of how we do this. You start with your personal goals. Why would you start with your personal goals? And the reality you start with your personal goals is your business must serve you. We say that the number one reason for failure in a business is actually burnout. And the burnout happens when you get gutful of keep doing the effort, what's in it for me? And we think as human beings, we grow up and we become more altruistic and all the rest of it. Not so much. WIIFM, what's in it for me? And if there's not something in it for you, you will not push through long term to deal with the challenges life throws at you. So when you set the goal to go on holiday, there's something in it for you. You've taken the whole family with, and even though there might be potholes, flat tires, detours, flooded rivers, you'll put up with whatever challenge because you know the outcome. You know what I want to have is a good holiday. I've prepped for it, I've planned for it, and I'll deal with the issues in between. But if I'm just going to go on a road trip, where to? Well, I don't know, just take a drive. The first little bit of issues I've got, I'm going to go, oh, this is not worth it, I'm going back home. And that's what we often do in our businesses. So you want to start first and foremost with your personal goals. Why do you want the business to operate at a certain level? How is it going to serve you? Financially, time-wise, freedom, leaving a legacy, all those good things. What's in it for me? So you start first and foremost your personal dreams, your personal goals, your personal learning, your personal plan, your personal actions. Now I've got the rocks that are critical from the 3-year, 12-month, 1 quarter cycle that we did on the previous one. Now I have to look at the business and say, okay, how can the business serve that? Now, the reality is if you're truly chasing your dreams and your goals, often you have to build a bigger business. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you have to build a bigger business, you will. But if you don't have to, the focus of the business becomes the issue and it becomes hard and difficult and we end up procrastinating all the time. And I always use myself as an example, you can relate, I'm sure, is when you decided to have your first child or buy your first car or your first home, all these big things, life-altering decisions, we never had enough money to do it properly. But because it was then there, we had a mortgage to pay, we had a baby to feed, we had bills to make sure we had provision for, we had to raise our level. I then had a second child with my wife. Well, what did that do to the need? In absolute stupidity, although we love him to bits, we had a third child. Well, what does that do to the levels? And because you have to, you will. But if you don't have to, you won't. And that's why the personal goals are first and foremost the critical ones. And then if I want to be able to go and watch a cricket match when we were still able to watch cricket matches, then I need the time available on an afternoon every now and again from this place. So then I set the business goals. Then I prioritize the same thinking, the same system, how to do it from a business perspective. So then I've got the personal goals that the business must help facilitate. But the personal goals are the driver. That's the motivator. That's the excitement. That's the when I deal with the challenge in the business, it's okay because I know if I get this right, it's going to serve me in a better way. And over time, you get the sequence right, that the vehicle, which is your business, serves you as an individual. Because standing at the traffic light is a strategy to make money. It's not going to serve big dreams and big goals, but it will do something. Working for a salary is going to serve dreams and goals. Might have a cap depending on where you're employed, but in your own business, really the sky's the limit. And therefore, the more excited you get about the vehicle serving you, the more you will put in. And then it becomes a little bit of a snowball where you build momentum and it gains momentum and it works over and over again. So that's the sequence. That's why you do it in that way. And often when we look at this and people say, oh, well, let's just get onto the business. No. First you, then the business. So why don't we achieve goals? And that's often a dilemma we all face because 1st of January, everybody's excited about New Year's resolutions, and by the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, not so much. And often it's because we want to focus on this one, R, resistance. Yeah, but I don't have the discipline. I don't have the motivation. One of our coaches said to me the other day, she needs to focus on her health. I said, great, what are you going to do? And she said, she did exactly this. She said, I suppose I must, go to the gym. I said, well, not if you look at your face. Your face is telling you you don't like the gym. This is too much. And through a process of getting the goal right for focusing on her health, we came up with, she'll walk one morning a week. She actually likes the morning space for herself to do some meditation, learning, reflection, but she will once a week give that up to go walk with her friend who walks every single morning, and she'll start playing squash 3 times a week. Much more excited, much more likely to happen because she doesn't like the gym. I had a client previously, same story, was way overweight and diabetic and had serious health issues, but was trying to force herself to run. Her knees would have given in with her health the way it was. But what she could do is go play volleyball on a court that was at the business, started a little bit of a social league. It was soft, it was in the sand, it was out in the sun, and she got her health right because she didn't focus on the resistance. She focused on this side of the equation. So the first one, the D, is understanding what is your level of dissatisfaction. Are you truly unhappy with the current reality? Because if you're not, best you go find some dissatisfaction. And the one around money, because it always comes around money, often comes up. People say, "Oh, Harry, it's not about the money." Never is, until there isn't any money, and then it's the only thing that's important. And if I'm not that dissatisfied with my savings and investments, and I'm not that dissatisfied with my debt levels, and I'm not that dissatisfied for what I'm paying myself in my business, am I going to do what's necessary? So I have to get dissatisfied. I have to look at the reality, face it, and actually write it down to see it. Am I paying myself what I'm worth? Am I getting a return on investment? Could I earn more somewhere else? Have I made progress in my own personal balance sheet and income statement because of this business? Have I paid back the money I took out the bond, etc., etc.? Build the dissatisfaction so that I am, good old South African word, gutful of the reality. Because if I'm gutful of the current reality and I build the vision in my head, so the V is the vision, D, dissatisfaction times the vision, what does the perfect ideal look like? When I'm there as if the goal has been achieved, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What's happening around me? What sense of accomplishment does that give me? And if I've built the dissatisfaction and I've got the vision, then it's easy for me to identify just the first step. Go for a walk in the morning, as that coach was sharing. Go visit a few squash clubs and see which is the one that most resonates with you. Invite some people to play volleyball. Have the meeting with the financial advisor. Redo my cash flow. Go see the dietitian. Go for the medical checkup. Book an appointment with the therapist, the counselor, the whatever. Run the advert for the salesperson, as the previous example we spoke about earlier on. Just the first step, because once I've done the first step, it gets easier. And I remember a dear friend of mine from New Zealand always said, it's only 4 minutes. 4 minutes in anything is enjoyable. But it's the time it takes to actually get to starting, and then the 4 minutes thereafter that we need to push through. Once we get through the 4 minutes, we can get through anything. And I thought about that on the weekend, clearing out the garage, doing a bit of spring cleaning, washing the motorbikes. And one of the motorbikes is a Harley Davidson, takes a lot of polish, a lot of cleaning. And I thought, I really don't feel like this now. I've got lots to do. Not even 4 minutes in, I was thoroughly enjoying it, loving what I was doing, seeing the reward that it was bringing me, and I would push through. So all we need to do is take the first step and do the first few things in that 4 minutes, and then the rest flows. And then we're not focused on the resistance anymore. Then the gratefulness, the dissatisfaction, together with the better future and just one step closer is what motivates me, is what keeps me going. And that's the way you set goals. And then you can apply this to any area of your life, any area of your business. The other important thing, just a couple of cheat sheets around goals, is the first thing is share them. Because when you share your goals with others, guess what? They will help you achieve them. If you want to stop smoking, you tell your friends, they don't go buy you cartons of cigarettes. They remind you and say, oh, I thought you were stopping smoking. When you want to lose weight, they don't buy you Krispy Kremes. In fact, they take the Krispy Kreme donut away from you when they see that's going to happen. When you tell your kids we're going to go on a holiday in December, guess what? The excitement builds. They hold you accountable. They start planning and you go, don't know if I'm ready for that. That's why you share your goals with other people. You tell them about it because it does put you under pressure to deliver. We'll always let ourselves down in this little mind of ours where the voices are going round and round in our heads. We will always gladly let ourselves down. But we don't want to be embarrassed. So if we tell people, our ego kicks in and we don't want to embarrass ourselves. But if we include other people, even more so, because we don't want to let other people down. Big motivator for people. So share your goals. The other one is do something small so long for the end goal. And I often do this when I help people set a goal around an international trip. And obviously there hasn't been a lot of that of late, but you can relate to it. When we think about going overseas, we think, oh, I need the money for the visas and the flights and the exchange rate's bad and it's expensive hotels. And then I want to go see the show or want to go to Disney World or whatever you want to do. It seems too big. And we say, well, let me first find all the money. Let me first find all the time. Then I will act on it. Well, how big is that resistance to finding all the time, all the money before I take the first step? So let's use Disney World. You want to go to Disney World? Great, buy Disney World tickets. Summer of next year, you buy the tickets, you've got them now already. You put them on the fridge. And people say to me, well, what if I don't have the money for the rest? You will. Because for the rest of the year, you'll see on your fridge every single day, multiple times a day probably, those tickets. You will find the money and the time to make up the rest so that you don't lose the money of the tickets. That's just how stupid the human brain is. So you set the goal and you buy the tickets. Then you might next time, book the accommodation. Eventually you buy the flights. It's fine. Or you wait for a decent deal and then you work towards it. But we will not lose the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Rand for the end goal. We will find the other tens of thousands. But to find the tens of thousands, to be able to buy the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Rand ticket, we won't do it. It's just the way we are. It's the same as when people say, pay off your debt before you start saving. No, just start saving. Because the resistance that the debt has and the money has is huge. But the emotional connection, the sense of achievement for actually saving something and seeing it grow, albeit small, is much more rewarding than the resistance of paying off debt. And then once we start playing the game, we'll start saving more, then we'll start paying off debt, and then the two kind of work together to create a much bigger net effect at the end of the day. So a lot of goal setting is going counter logic. It's dealing with you as an emotional being. That's why we said be, do, have. The logic is stuck in the doing part. Yeah, but we don't operate like that. We operate in being mode as human beings, and therefore we want to deal with the emotion. So go back to the very first thing I showed. What is the dream? Get clarity on the dream. What is it that you want to achieve? Get the more specific you can get and excited you can get about that, the better. Then you set the goal. And all of this personal first. Set the goal. Do the learning. Get the information. Acquire the skills so you can put together a decent plan. And it won't be perfect. You'll evolve the plan as you go along, no doubt. Then you take actions in line with the plan on the learning that you're acquiring to hit your goals and achieve your dreams. And then by being different, behaving different, becoming somebody different, I'm taking different actions on the doing part to then slowly but surely tick off more of what I want to have. And we become, I don't want to say greedy, I rather want to say we become hungry. The more we have a life that serves us, the more we have a business that serves us, the more we want of that. The richest people in the world don't have to work, they still do, because they're playing the game. If you design a life that serves you, you want more of a life that serves you. The more you have a life that serves you, the more you inspire other people around you to design a life that inspires them. And they look at you and go, wow, I want what she's got. I want to do what he's doing. I also want that for my life. And then we raise the whole spectrum. So I hope that's really helped crystallize, the process of goal setting. If you've got any final comments, you're welcome to type them into the chat box. Any value you got out of today, if you might have a question, you can add it in there as well. And then next month, a very important session, because next month we're going to be talking about, you'll see it's just listed as above the point on the schedule. It's really how you need to self-manage and self-lead. So it's a little bit of self-management, self-leadership first, and then we'll translate into leadership and management of your team, of your staff, of your family, of the people around you in the process. So above the point, a very exciting session that we've got planned for our October Lunch and Learn, always the second Tuesday of every month, 1 o'clock till about 20 to 2 as we are now. And looking forward to really then, taking the discussions that step further for you. If you have missed any of the other sessions, if you go to our YouTube channel, Action Coach Southern Africa, you'll find under the playlists all the Lunch and Learn sessions, quick 40 minutes, which will help you with the learning if there's an area that you need to focus on. I know that the better people set goals, the better quality life they have. The stuff sorts itself out in between. So go and set some fantastic goals and create and design that life that you desire. Been a privilege to have you join us today, and look forward to seeing you for Above the Point again in October's Lunch and Learn. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.